Joy McCarthy is here, our lovely holistic nutritionist.
Hi,
Welcome
morning.
back.
Hello, everybody. I brought the sunshine with me today.
You always do, but now you got an extra splash today.
Yes.
So we're talking about some of the most popular diets out there right now, because I'm sure a lot of people, you put on a couple of those winter pounds, and now you're starting to think about wearing the, less clothing, basically.
Less baggy sweaters and
Exactly. So you're going to go through some and give us the pros and cons. The paleo diet, I've heard so much about for people who aren't familiar.
It's so popular. I'd say it's one of the most popular diets today, and the ones we're going to talk about are basically based on the most searches on the internet. So based on our ancestors, like 2.6 million years ago to about 10,000 years ago when the advent of agriculture started, essentially. So it's based on very basic foods of meat, game meats, fish, chicken, no dairy, no refined foods, no sugars, lots of vegetables.
No grains either,
No
right?
grains. Yeah, that's a really important distinction as well, because I love my quinoa, and a lot of people like grains, so no grains at all.
It sounds a lot like Atkins to me when I first heard it.
Yeah, I mean, Atkins, I think it's definitely healthier than the Atkins diet, which is like really, really high protein. I like the fact that that paleo really emphasizes good quality food and eating really simple food and no processed food whatsoever. Whereas with Atkins, it's kind of anything goes, super high protein, whatever that means for you. And with Atkins, people do lose a lot of weight, but it's not sustainable, and that's the problem with so many diets. Is that, especially high protein diets, they require a massive amount, your body requires a massive amount of water to assimilate protein. So when you eat high protein, low carb, you're like a grape that shrivels into a raisin, and then as soon as you eat any carbs, you blow up and you think, oh, carbs are to blame. I'm allergic to carbs, when that's actually not the case. So a lot of times these diets that are super high protein are just not sustainable.
Well, this next diet doesn't sound sustainable either, even
Which
though
one,
it's the
sorry?
cabbage soup diet.
Yeah,
even though it only lasts for 7 days.
Yes.
It's been around forever.
Forever. Seriously, I remember back in the 80s and 90s, I had friends whose mothers were doing the cabbage soup diet.
Crock pot. Totally at our house. Cabbage soup.
Yes, so many people have tried that.
Would you recommend it?
No, I definitely do not recommend it. Too low calorie, too restrictive. You're really depriving yourself. You're setting yourself up for binging. But I do remember I had friends one friend in particular, and her mom always did it, like once a season, and she would, get really skinny, but then she would gain all this weight back. So it's yo-yo dieting, really. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the cabbage soup diet. Has anyone tried it here?
Doesn't sound very good.
No.
Doesn't sound very tasty.
I like cabbage soup though. I really like
Little
cabbage.
variations
for 7 days.
No, not every day for
As
7
an
days.
appetizer.
I've heard it
I
called
like
like
it
the
as-
hospital soup diet, the cabbage soup diet. Yeah.
Exactly, one of the most popular ones. So
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
You mentioned the Atkins diet. I want to ask you about the HCG diet. I've never heard of this one.
Yeah, so that's a hormone. You get basically hormone injections. HCG is a hormone when you're pregnant that's high. So you actually get injections. It's by prescription only.
Is this popular? People are
Yes,
doing
it's a lot of people are actually asking me about it, and people are using. It's actually for an infertility treatment, and it's very low calorie, and I do not recommend it. So it's just one of those very popular diets right now that people are asking about, because a lot of people are very, the average person is trying to lose weight, but it's not about weight, it's about health. When you focus on health, weight loss is a side effect.
Absolutely.
It just may take a little more time, but it's an investment for the long term.
Exactly. It's an investment in your health. And what I always tell my clients is focus on how you feel. It's not just about how you look, because when you start to feel better by eating nourishing foods, you naturally start to feel better about yourself and your body, and your digestion's working efficiently, you're eliminating efficiently, which always feels better. So yeah, focusing on health is really key, really important.
Do you recommend the gluten-free diet?
Yeah, so that's a really popular
Very
one.
popular.
Yeah, as you've all probably know about the Wheat Belly book. So, and as you may know, I've come on here many times and talked about the benefits of eating a more gluten-free diet. But I want to make an important distinction, because when you start eating more gluten-free foods, it's not now about, cutting out all the wheat, cutting out all the gluten, and then eating all these gluten-free junk foods. It's a gluten. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Processed. It could be gluten-free bread, but if it's full of sugar and it's all, white rice products, or if you're eating gluten-free, ice cream sandwiches, that's not health promoting. However, I will say in my practice, I advise a lot of clients to cut back on gluten. So cut back on, the white pasta, the white bread, and people have have benefits, absolutely, because gluten is such a common food intolerance, just like dairy.
If people are looking for something to follow, is there one you like? We have to wrap up, but I've heard like
yes.
Mediterranean is pretty.
That is my absolute, I mean, as you know, I don't like diets, but I would say the way I eat is definitely very Mediterranean. I eat fish, good fats, lots of vegetables, and of all the diets, the Mediterranean diet I think is the absolute healthiest, and that is basically how I eat.
And a lifestyle that you can keep with.
Exactly, but there's 7 billion people on planet Earth. You got to find out what works best for you and find the individual plan that works best for you. So if taking out a little gluten is you know, making you feel better, then do that.
Great, good advice. Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist. Great to see you again.
Great to see you guys.